quick, drop a like and subscribe in the next 10 seconds if you guys want to know how the Polar Peak Monster will resurrect and return from the dead for a final Showdown 2.0 live event within Season X. Do you want a free Season X Battle Pass?
Yes.
Well, simply make sure you subscribe to the channel with the post notification bell turned on and comment your Epic Game ID down below, that way I can add some of you and send you the Battle Pass for free. We're also super close to 550,000 subscribers, so everybody watching the video right now, if you're not subscribed, hit the big red button and you potentially could be the 550,000th subscriber. Want me to give away more Battle Passes, increasing everybody's odds of getting one and support me? Well, simply make sure to use code FriendlyMachine in the item shop. Let me know if you're rocking the code and your Epic Games ID down below, that way I can hook some of you guys up with some V-Bucks. Yo, what's going on guys, welcome back to a brand new Fortnite Battle Royale video. So in today's video, the title may shock many of you considering the Polar Peak carcass or skeleton remains obviously just on the outskirts of Salty Springs and Dusty Depot, about the Polar Peak Monster actually making a return through time, as well as the robot, considering we don't know where it disappeared to, for a final Showdown 2.0 live event to end off Season X, transitioning us into Season 11. If you guys thought the changes in the map right now were crazy, you've seen nothing yet, so make sure you don't go anywhere today and stick around to watch the full thing, because honestly, Season X is just about to get even more crazier by the day, leading up until this live event, this final Showdown 2.0. So in terms of talking about this, we're going to be going over how we know this is possible, why this is going to happen, and ultimately when. The first thing we're going to start out with, however, is the fact that we obviously know events can be pulled back through time, whether live events or whether events shown in a cinematic trailer, basically because of the map changes implemented at the start of Season X. The frozen in time meteor milliseconds away from hitting Dusty Depot, creating Dusty Divot, that was included throughout the Season 4 cinematic trailer as a kind of first ever storyline impactful map change. Despite this not making sense in itself to many, it fits the theme of Season X being out of time as shown at the end of the Season X cinematic trailer, considering there is no concept of time now in Fortnite, clearly shown also throughout this trailer, where Jonesy obviously goes through a journey of time in a matter of seconds, exploring all live events and map changes or big drastic things that have occurred in the past. For an event to be pulled back through time, however, just like this meteor, obviously considering this is the only one we've seen thus far, we need this interdimensional portal between this dimension, obviously the one that Jonesy was in during the trailer, and the Fortnite Battle Royale realm to be opened, and a gateway to do that would obviously require some machinery like these rift orbs or kind of rift beacons that we're seeing around named locations, ultimately changing them to ones like Tilted Town from Neo Tilted, or the orb itself initially responsible for all of this time twisted theme to actually become active once again. Speaking of these methods to connect us through time, the rift beacon more specifically has been confirmed in the game's files to be pulling back named locations and reverting them to what they once were prior to Season X, maybe in the oldest of seasons, Season 1, 2, 3. Here are the files right now confirming on screen that these named locations previously in Fortnite will be making a return. Moisty Mire, Risky Reels, Greasy Grove and Anarchy Acres. The reason we know this coding implies the return of these named locations is because it has large involvement to do with some challenges implemented in the Season 10 update, meaning not only is this fresh code, but it's going to be useful or more important in the future to come. With us obviously knowing that the Rift Beacon is responsible for mid-season time travel of named locations or a version of them, it's clear to distinguish that this will apply to these named locations from the files, but a second one is currently being set up at a new named location implemented at the start of Season 9, Mega Mall. Many of you may be thinking this is completely random and doesn't correlate in any way, shape or form to the return of the Polar Peak Monster or its reincarnation or revival in some way, shape or form. Well, it actually does, considering not only have I named 5 new named locations that are going to be seeing a giant interdimensional bubble submerging them, obviously transferring them back through time, everything that's contained within it, but there's going to be even more, and at some point with the help maybe of the orb becoming more active, all of the orbs or bubbles may combine or basically merge into each other, as we see with bubbles in real life upon blowing them, to create one giant time-twisted area. The final Showdown event originally, safe to say, wasn't what everybody expected considering the size of the 2 participants involved, the robot and the Polar Peak Monster. Many people thought the map would be completely destroyed and we'd see a new one for Season 11, but they couldn't do this, Epic Games, considering it wasn't fair on the pro players or the players qualified or playing in the World Cup finals to then adjust to all of this drastic change. For this reason, what if this giant bubble or submerged region combined by all the smaller bubbles is over the remains of the the Polar Peak monster, ultimately letting us see even in-game a reversal of this final event here, where the Polar Peak monster is basically skewered through its head, and obviously another fight then unfolding, maybe with the involvement of other prior live events in this particular submerged dome vicinity. Despite this being a very interesting theory and something that ultimately could come true for the format of Epic Games anyway, surprising us, it largely makes sense considering it's been teased that this location of where the Polar Peak remains actually are in the map is not finished with yet, considering all of the recent growth at the start of Season 10, turning a lot of the scenery around it pink, and with no logical explanation as to why this has happened yet, it ultimately foreshadows its importance in the future. We don't even know right now if this pink stuff is good for our island to actually settle into, or if it's just literally seeped out of the Polar Peak monster, considering it seemed to blast out of its mouth a radioactive substance. Many of you guys may be thinking, well yeah, that covers the area of the Polar Peak monster's remains ultimately maybe making its return, but how does that affect, if it doesn't cover the entire map, this giant orb merged by smaller ones, the return of the robot? Well, obviously at the end of Season 9 we saw the disappearance into the sky or up onto the moon of the robot, considering it served its purpose and protected us from a demise literally created at the hands and feet of the Polar Peak monster that we'd seen in small versions around our island throughout that season. With this in mind, and obviously as previously stated, with us not knowing where the robot went, what if this designed and mechanically indicated protective instinct kicks in upon the return of the Polar Peak monster, ultimately resulting in the robot crashing down to our island once again from where it originally disappeared to. This realistically could be a thing, considering we've seen teased the return of the visitor's rocket that disappeared without explanation at the end of Season 4's live event, the Blast-Off event, opening the biggest interdimensional rift portal in the sky that remained there for many seasons in the Season X trailer. Also, speaking of the visitor, with his intentions unknown in the description of the character, we do not know what his involvement is in the storyline or ultimately where and when he disappeared to, but he has returned in our island right now, which obviously opens up the possibility also for the return of the robot. With Epic Games involving the entire Fortnite Battle Royale timeline into Season X itself, this ultimately doesn't just mean that for the final SHOWDOWN 2.0 we'll be seeing another fight, maybe with a different outcome, of the Polar Peak monster and the robot upon returning itself. Other time reverting factors could come into play, and obviously with this time reversion theme for Season X, it's largely possible that all prior live events could occur in this bubble that we've obviously speculated will be coming to basically reincarnate the Polar Peak monster from its prior existence or a lifetime in our realm. Every season from now it's pretty obvious we see some sort of threat to our island, but what if the ultimate threat is all threats at once occurring, considering we're now out of time in Battle Royale and anything or anywhere could come back. Also, speaking of time reversion occurring in our realm, not everything is exactly as what it once stood. An example of this that I've shown in many videos is the arrangement of the warehouses at Dusty Depot. As you can see, the colour ordering is completely off or just generally different. So upon being transported to this interdimensional realm of which we saw Jonesy in, does this mean that everything ultimately that once was has changed, or basically had a flip side to it, making it the complete opposite of what it was originally intended to do? I guess we're yet to know. But upon everything like this, all the live events returning to our realm, does this mean that the opposite will occur of what was originally intended to unfold in that particular live event? And if this is the case, does this then mean that everybody or everything involved with the prior storyline developments will ultimately come and fight against the Polar Peak monster to defeat it once again, maybe perhaps being more stronger or bigger this time around upon its return? Honestly, with Season X's particular theme being time travel, the possibility for anything or anything happening is completely endless, but obviously we need some sort of conclusion or storyline to follow throughout this season, and that's obviously my theory for what will happen in this video. Let me know your theories about what's going to happen throughout the season in terms of events happening, whether new things come in or old things coming back from the past, as I'm really curious to know all of your guys' opinions. If you enjoyed today's video or want to keep referring back to it to perhaps maybe understand something that you didn't understand in your first watch, then make sure you're leaving a like on the video down below, as the liked playlist is a very easy to re-access point of which you can save a video to and then re-watch later, and also supports me, so if you want to do that, make sure you hit the like button right now. Also make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you haven't already to stay up to date with everything developing in the map and all the newest theories I have in terms of developments that have been made or have recently been implemented to Fortnite Battle Royale. Hopefully I can see you guys in the future videos to come from remaining active in the comment section down below, and I'm out. Have an amazing rest of your day or night wherever you are whenever you're watching. Have a good one, take it easy, and as always, peace.